Hey there, and welcome to this episode of ChetChat. A lot of you ask me, how would it be like to have a long banking career in top international banks and follow that up with your own startup? So we've got exactly the right person for you. Let me introduce you today to Samir Bhatia, the founder of SME Corner, who worked for leading global banks for close to 3 decades and then did his own startup. So let me welcome Samir to the show today. So Samir, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for taking out this time to be with us.
No, it really is my pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me on your very popular show.
So tell me, when you were young, and I know this about you, that you kind of had this 7th rank or something like that, really top rank when you did your CA entrance exam. So when you were a kid, what were you thinking growing up? What did you want to be?
So I was a very studious kid, okay? I kind of did very well in my studies, and I was like very conscientious, and I did all my homework and everything on time. So
Mama
right
loved
from
you.
the beginning, yes, right from the beginning, I was like this very well-behaved kid who did well in class. I was also a kind of wannabe, aspiring kind of sports person who wanted to play cricket and stuff like that. What I had to do was buy a lot of equipment, because that's the only way I could get to play cricket, because if I brought my bat and my ball and then I was allowed to play with everyone. So you can imagine how good I was. But I did try to play some of that as well. But yeah, well, when I grew up, that is what
By
you
the
may
time
ask
everyone
me.
had bats and they were like, it's okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So tell me, you had a rank in the CA, I believe you had a rank in cost accounting, and you had a rank all through your life, I think. But tell me, did you always want to be a banker?
My dad was a professional. He was a chartered accountant. He worked with a large industrial group, and he was like, when at the peak of his career, he was a director of finance. I grew up seeing him in the very professional world. So to me, that was my world.
Yeah.
Okay. That I wanted to be a professional. Strangely, somewhere around class 8 or 9, I decided to be a doctor. I was like 3 marks short of getting into the top science colleges.
Okay.
And I did not get in, and I was very dejected. I was walking down the street when an old man accosted me, and he said, young man, have you got admission anywhere? Where are you studying? And I said, I'm really looking for admission. And he said, I'm the principal of this Podar Commerce College.
Okay.
I just love your face. I like everything about you. And if you want admission, can you walk with me to my chambers right now and I'll give you admission?
Wow.
Okay, this was like providence or whatever, if you believe in that. And I was like, what's happening with me? I'm not interested. This guy is asking me to come and do commerce.
Yeah.
So this was one of those going with the flow things, and I decided to do commerce. Yeah. Having chosen commerce, I wanted to kind of definitely be a chartered accountant, having seen my dad become one.
Great. And then you went on to join Citibank.
I started off at Citi. Banking was always a very attractive, glamorous career. I actually did 1 year of industrial training as part of my CA, and I think that was very, absolutely valuable.
Yeah, that helps. So that's good for people watching the show, especially the ones that have done their
CA. Absolutely. Or they're doing their CA, they must invest a year and do industrial training. I think it's absolutely worth its weight in gold.
Okay, fabulous. And talk about the banking world that you've seen. With Citi, you moved on to Hdfc Bank virtually. When you went in, it was like a startup, more or less.
Right.
And tell us about the CAs, etc., who are watching the show. What should they keep in mind when they are looking at this banking career?
So banks are a great place to learn and grow. I think it provides they provide very, very good professional environment, especially for somebody who's a chartered accountant. I think one of the things that most newly qualified or newly graduated students need to have is a very open mind when they're looking to join any organization or any field, because I get a lot of people who come and interview and they're so set in their mind on what they want to do. Okay, sometimes it's not so good, because then you're kind of close to learning. You don't know what your real aptitude is. So joining a bank is great, but join with a very open mind and really don't mind where you start your career with. Like I started my career in the financial control division, which was absolutely, the most thankless job, because you had to do budgets and MIS and, a lot of numbers, and the most unglamorous of all the banking roles, right? But I was happy doing that, because I thought that actually was a great grounding, because by the time I was out of there after 3 years, okay, I had learned everything about every product and every division in the bank. So there is no part of the bank which is a bad place to work, be it the back office or the front office or anywhere. So
absolutely. And in any case, they say that sometimes you don't even know the career that you will be in 10 years later may not have even been invented right now.
absolutely, absolutely. And I think digital is like a great example of what no one would have thought. Like I never thought that after working for 30 years, I would actually be learning digital, past the age of 50s. But Citibank was actually a great place. It's a great organization to learn to work very hard, learn to survive in a highly competitive environment, because as you know, foreign banks, you've been in one as well, that the environment is very, very competitive, and it gets really hard, and you need to be like really tough to kind of work there and succeed there. Working for a multinational bank gives you insight into what's happening all over. I kind of got to travel to exotic countries back in those years, going to Africa and those parts of Africa which were considered to be unsafe, but it was very exciting for me because I was in my 20s, and going to like Senegal or going to Ivory Coast or going to Nigeria, even in those days, it was like something which is like exciting and exotic.
And then moving on to HDFC, you went on to head Barclays. You've been
so HDFC, I think, was again a phenomenal experience. HDFC Bank, I was part of the startup team there. Had the best boss ever, Mr. Puri. Okay, learned a lot from him. Very inspiring person, great visionary. Again, a great learning experience and also very satisfying. Which is why I'd like to actually tell a lot of the younger people that it's okay to join a small company or a company which is starting up. You don't necessarily have to join a very large organization because you might be like small fish in a big pond. If you rather like join in a smaller place, you get to learn a lot. You grow with the organization, and also highly entrepreneurial. You will be actually shocked and surprised to tell you that we've actually cleaned toilets. Okay. So when the bank started, so we actually had duties assigned that Monday Samir cleans, Tuesday, so Paresh cleans, or Wednesday, Ram cleans. So we had that, and we were we had absolutely, we loved doing it because it was just that sense of ownership and the sense of feeling that we had.
The best thing I think is they get to share the founder's vision on a very close basis. They get to learn from a very good mentor. Like you said, you got an opportunity to learn from Mr. Puri. Sometimes in very large organizations, all you get to learn from is
absolutely.
Is
the one level above you, and then it's a very set thing that is given to you. You have to do it that way. You don't have the flexibility to do things any different.
So Samir, tell me, you worked, like you said, in HDFC, virtually a startup. You went on to Barclays and Equifax. Again, almost you were starting up and setting up their bases in India. So what prompted you to actually move out on your own and have your own startup eventually?
So Chetna, out of 4 jobs that I did, 3 of them were absolute startup jobs. HDFC Bank was a startup job. Barclays, I was the first employee and I set up the bank in India, the retail commercial bank. Equifax, I was the absolutely first employee, kind of got the license, got the joint venture together, got the capital, and set up the company. I love creating stuff. I love to set up things. So there came a point in life where I thought that maybe I should actually do something on my own for myself, and also for solving a big problem that I saw around me as I worked in banks over the years, which is that small businesses really don't know who to go to when they want a loan, and really don't have the time to give a lot of paper to traditional banks to get their loans approved. And hence was born the concept and idea of setting up SME Corner. I must tell you that, confess that when I started off, I didn't know much about this world. So for me, it was version 2.0 of myself, and I loved it. It was like going for an MBA class, an MBA which I never did, because I had to learn all aspects. Technology, what languages to use, how to write, what was coding, what was, what made a platform successful, user experience, UI, UX, just did not know any of these terms. And there came this monster called digital marketing. I've always seen marketing in the old world and never seen digital marketing. But then I became a good student, like I always was, like I told you from before. Always eager to learn, always happy to learn. And here is something that I should tell every single entrepreneur or wannabe entrepreneur, that you have to be really humble and really accept the fact that you do not know everything and you will not know everything. And that even a very young person, like all the 25-year-olds, can actually teach you a lot. And every day that I sit, I do learn something new. So I attend conferences, seminars, read a lot, sit with my team, understand what they're doing. If I don't understand, I'm curious and I'm very honest about it. When I see a lot of my friends who are in their jobs for the last so many years, past couple of decades, I actually try to inspire them and say that, do you not want to learn something new? Do you not want to do anything different? Do something so that you feel excited, you feel rejuvenated, you feel like a young person over again.
Of course. But I'm sure this sets up a lovely culture within your company, a culture of learning, which sort of inspires everyone to want to challenge themselves.
So one of the things we really promote here in my company is cross-functional learning and training, and like no one has a job which is restricted to his or her own job. So it's great for all of us actually.
So tell us about your challenges, working in the startup mode that you were with the previous large organizations versus doing this little baby of your own.
Yeah.
Were there different challenges that you faced?
So one of the biggest thing is that when you're working for a large institution, you have resources on your fingertips.
Right.
You have a lot of money to spend and you don't have to blink an eyelid before you actually ask for something or want a resource. In a startup, it's your money when you start with, so you be very careful with what you are doing, what you're spending, okay? And there's just no one to do stuff for you, so you do stuff yourself, okay? So there's a lot of administrative smaller work also that you need to do. The second is, as a large institution, you can open doors very easily. For smaller entrepreneurs, that can get really challenging, which is why the need for mentors, which is why the need for advisors for startups. So identify your strengths, identify your gaps in your strengths, and then invite people around you who can help you with those gaps. Third is really no startup goes without its ups and downs, and there are times when what you thought was the right thing to do is really not the right thing to do, and business suddenly is not like looking as good as you thought it would look. Okay, and you're seeing like, oh, things are not working, and here again, faster you pivot, the faster you recognize that if it's not working, dump it, do something different or do something differently. So the idea is sort of how soon you are kind of
how
agile you are, but it's a tightrope walk, I must tell you. I mean, it's like you have to literally, like every step is like you are like...
True, because you're always saying, listen, I've already spent so much, so
And it never stops, Chetna. You'll see some of the big names today also, okay, they're after a huge high and after being valued at billions of dollars today, are going through their, challenges today. So this world will always have challenges and will always have, so you have to be nimble, constant disruption, and it comes from the unknown. So it's like a nice tightrope, but I am a person who loves the thrill, so I'm very happy doing all this.
So Samir, you're this huge marathoner, and I understand you're one of the 2 Indians to have done the big 6 marathons. So first of all, congratulations for that.
Thank you.
And tell me now, in the middle of this startup and doing all of that, how do you take out time to do your running?
I actually find enough time. I've always found enough time to run. I think it's something that does not conflict with work. It actually is my mega de-stress. That's my time when I'm actually most relaxed and most happy, and it helps me cope better. I'm an endorphin junkie, if you might say that.
So which one of them have you loved doing the most? Which one of those runs?
So I think out of the big ones, New York was a really good marathon to run. I think it's a very, very tough course. The weather, the crowd, and I think just the sheer lesson in logistics. I mean, it's to the pin from the time you register till the time you finish your race and you're out of the park.
Yeah, but tell me, this running, what does it bring out of you as a person?
I was never very athletic. Okay,
the cricket story, I remember.
Yeah, I was not very athletic. In my 20s, when I used to work for Citi, I used to work day and night. So most days and many days, we never used to go home. We had a toothbrush in the office and we had a change of a shirt. And we would just work through the night and the next day. And I remember one year we worked 100 days without Saturdays, Sundays, Jan 1st to April 10th. So I used to work like that. And one day I actually fell unconscious. Okay, I was so unhealthy and so unfit that my body couldn't take it anymore. And I was hospitalized for 3 days. Then when I came out of it, I said, like, this is not a great way to be, and I was in my late 20s. I think also temperamentally, running a marathon has allowed me to actually face almost any difficult situation and any problem that comes my professional way with great ease, because in a marathon you have to keep going. It is no concept of giving up. Okay, and you might cramp, you might be tired, you might be anything, but you have to finish because you want to finish it. And that, I think, just from a sheer personality development and development of to strengthening the mind, nothing like that. And I think that's been very helpful. When you ask me that question, saying all your challenges and how do you overcome them, running helps phenomenally in all of that. Like we all say, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
It's a marathon,
So it's the same way, right? So it's okay. And I tell my team also, do everything right, make sure everything is okay. It's not like a 6-month or a 1-year horizon. In 5 years you build a great company, and that's all comes from my running.
So tell us about your company and what is the finish line you have in mind for that? What are your future goals?
So we are solving a big problem that today exists, is that small businesses who want finance and capital don't know where to go and end up having to submit a lot of paper. So we have our platform, which is SMEcorner.com, allows a small business to come online and within 3 minutes get an instant soft approval for their loan. And so we can tell them with reasonable certainty whether we will lend them or not, subject to, of course, verifying and meeting them once. And we can give them money within 3 days in their bank account, which for a small business is a real big deal. We're trying to use a lot of the new stuff that is happening in terms of the artificial intelligence, machine learning. We're actually trying to make this a very scalable company, take out as much of the human subjectivity in underwriting and decisioning as much as we can to make it scalable. So I think over the next few years, we have a lot of work to do, but I think there is a lot of scope for what we are doing.
Oh, wow, and I wish you all the luck.
Thank you so much.
I hope you reach your goals sooner than you expect.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hey, and thank you for watching till the end. So if you've enjoyed this episode and you have lots of queries about how to be in banking, how to have your own startup, how to be in the financial world, how to be a CA and all of that, please write in with your comments at the bottom of this video. And press that little red button, subscribe to the show. Keep writing in and telling us what you want to watch next. Press that bell next to the subscribe button as well. And happy watching.